Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. So, getting ready for the Path of Exile open beta coming up in less than 2 days. I decided to kind of go over my characters. I'll probably end up deleting them all tonight. When the open beta is released, I don't think it deletes all your characters, but what it does is it wipes them all to level 1 and gets rid of all your items except the demigods that you've acquired. So, that's just so you can kind of keep your name when the reset happens, but I don't really care about that. I'll pick something else. But, I decided to take this opportunity to kind of go over my characters because this is kind of like the last time I'll end up seeing them. And just, talk to you guys and tell you guys what I've been doing in Path of Exile. Because I started playing, I think, around August or something. I don't know, maybe a little prior to that. So, basically, when I started Path of Exile, I made this ranger here. I was looking at all the characters. I wanted to pick the cutest one, so I went with the ranger. I thought she looked like Paula Deen, and I don't really particularly like Paula Deen, but I just named her Paula Deen, and the name wasn't taken, so we went with it. This ranger really sucked because, at the beginning I was pretty much a noob. I thought armor was the way to go. Coming from Diablo, armor is the way to go. So I ended up seeing that the Iron Reflex talent converts the evasion into armor, and I was looking at some of the abilities and seeing that some of the abilities give a lot of evasion. People were like, "Yeah, Iron Reflex is amazing," so I went with it. And what I didn't go with is many life points, and I didn't go with many resist. So what ended up happening is the character would have died to pretty much anything that did any kind of elemental damage, and that's why it pretty much sucked completely. So after the failure of that character, I made my Marauder. I made this guy here, Crippers. He's an HC Legacy. He hasn't died yet. He's 79. This is my second character I ever made, and I made him for a race. I think there was like a 3-hour race or a 2-hour race or something. I remember getting to like level 16 or something. I was like the 5th highest Marauder, or like who gives a crap? But it was my first race. I was pretty pleased with the result. The character didn't die, so I decided to keep playing him. When I was in normal, I was about to do Vol. I ended up getting a Frost Wall drop, so I ended up, kind of making this idea where I make a Ground Slam Marauder, which is pretty popular at the time, but I'm going to use Frost Wall because Frost Wall blocks all the projectiles, it blocks the melee mobs, and I can hit under it with my Ground Slam. So it was a complete cheese fest. I used like all the cheesiest abilities I found, and that's why the character's still alive. It's rock solid, and it's very entertaining to play, at least for me. But on the viewer end, it was slam, 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 spec, and some of you guys didn't enjoy that too much. At this point, I think we went on to play Guild Wars because Guild Wars 2 came out. I didn't know much about it, but I'm like, oh, cool, and all that stuff. And I made some other characters a lot more recently when I came back to the game, trying to relearn it a little bit. I think Knives is one of the first ones that I made. My Knives character is a Freeze Pulse Shadow. I ended up going Freeze Pulse, and I ended up going with the build that I kind of made up, where you'd get Eldritch Battery for the cost, and you also get Iron Reflexes. You go all the way through the bottom of the tree to get Iron Reflex. You have all the crit, you have some life base, and it was pretty good. The survivability was fairly low, but because Decoy Totem was so overpowered, I put a Decoy Totem and just Freeze Pulse the totem. I used like Freeze Pulse, LMP, Faster Projectiles, Cold Pen, and just pretty face roll actually, because the totem will draw all the aggro, clear all the mobs together, and the Freeze Pulse would stop them from attacking the totem, so your totem would stay alive, and you end up killing all the mobs. It was pretty hard against certain bosses, but overall, it was pretty effective. I don't remember exactly in which order I made them, but I made a lot of different characters during this time because I was like leveling up with Cybrix. I was kind of trying to introduce them to the game. So like every time we died on hardcore, we'd make like a new character. I think one of the ones I made afterwards is this one. I think I made the dual Spark Totem guy. I saw that a lot of people liked the Spark Totem, so I thought, I was really puzzled. It's like, why do people keep making shadows on this shit? It doesn't make any sense. So I made a Templar. I thought Templar was a much better choice because you can go to hybrid base, you can go life and energy shield, while late game pure CI seems to be a little bit better right now in the state of the game. I didn't think it was as good for leveling up, so I made the Templar. I got the mana regen nodes in the Templar, the mana regen nodes in the Witch, so the mana base was very good. I even had so much survivability through my hybrid defense that I was able to get some crit talents, and you guys all know how easy it is to play dual Spark, so it's pretty much the character that kind of moved that forward into the group play, which was kind of shitty. But I have a lot of these like level 30 characters. A lot of the characters didn't make it very far, and a lot of these guys are race characters. I already deleted a lot of the race characters. I think Crippa and Cryptvasion are kind of the same idea. Cryptvasion was pure evasion, dex-based characters using like whirling blades or something like that. It was really fucking boring, so I stopped playing it. The main lesson to be learned there was that acrobatics is terrible. I mean, it was really good on average for taking damage, but then you take a big hit and you'd have to like run around and stuff. Very annoying. Then I had Crippa, which is kind of the opposite. I went like full evasion, but I converted it all through armor with iron reflexes, and it was kind of entertaining, taking like no damage. But again, because it was using the dex-based skills, it was using like, heavy strike, double strike, cleave. It was pretty lackluster. I don't really like those skills as much as the more effective ones like lightning strike and ground slam, sweep, that kind of stuff. I think it was during this time that I worked on my Sweep Templar. Sweep Templar is Crip Spearmint, is obviously on default because I had a lot of hard counters to the build when I was first learning it. But it's pretty much a CI-based melee build with increased radius and sweep. It really relies on phase running because that's removed. The build will be fairly weak after the open beta launch. Pretty much you run in with phase run, you one-shot all the mobs on the screen, then you move on to the next pack. Very, very good stuff. One of the best and most creative builds that I've come up with, but also because of that, it's much more vulnerable to change. So you kind of got to keep that in mind when you're making a build for open beta, because you want a character to last through the ages. So that's pretty entertaining. I made a lot of builds at the time. Man, there's so many. I think soon after that, I made another dual totem character, Crip Element. This character, I wanted to kind of focus on all the AoE talents, so I got every single AoE talent on the skill tree, except the ones in the middle. It's only like 12% there. And I was using Ice Nova on dual totem, so pretty much the whole screen was covered with, chilled mobs, so they move very slowly. And my other attack that I actually spammed was Firestorm, because the mobs moved really slowly, so the mobs that got hit by Firestorm would get hit more times than they would normally, because they were slowed, so they were taking the full duration of the increased duration supported Firestorm, so that's pretty entertaining. Let me see what else I have here. Crip, I made this character actually quite recently. I can't go in order now because there's so many. Crip was originally a Immortal Call Molten Shell character, so the idea was that I'd get 7 endurance charges through the talent tree and through using 2 of the unique rings, and I'd use increased duration talents along with increased duration gem on Immortal Call, giving me like a 20-second physical damage immunity, and the immunity counts as a 100% absorb towards Molten Shell. So when Molten Shell triggers when you absorb the damage through your armor, but it counted the damage absorbed through Immortal Call, so it was pretty much the best way to mitigate damage for your Molten Shell to proc. But in the higher levels of Molten Shell, not even that high, maybe in the 50s, it wasn't really proccing that much because it takes so long for the mobs to burn through that shield, and as such the character was very, the efficiency was just terrible. So I ended up respecing the character into a crit damage stacking with Death's Harp, elemental build with elemental hit, and he's on default because he ended up one-shotting himself on a reflect mob, which you can see a video of a couple weeks ago. Cripper's QT is my lightning arrow build. Some people were telling me that chain lightning arrow is really overpowered, so I kind of wanted to take a look for myself. I kind of want to make a build that would use it in an effective way. I kind of did. This guy did insane damage and he had insane resist because of the fact that he was Eldritch Battery using Purity as well as having a 5% cap resist talent, so his resists were over 80%. So it was very cool stuff, but he didn't have a lot of life, and he didn't have life leech, so his survivability was very lackluster, but it didn't matter because Chain LMP Lightning Arrow with weapon elemental damage did so much damage that it cleared the screen. He used Resolute Technique, but in this version of Lightning Arrow, the Lightning Arrow shot the target a percentage on hit regardless of the crit, and I used Static Blows, which is another 20%, so he was shock stacking the crap out of mobs while hitting them 100% of the time. Very, very overpowered. I think Crippa Sucks is a character that uses Concentrated Effect Rain of Arrows with Elemental as well, and the character was fairly effective. It's kind of like a bow witch, and pretty good stuff. Nothing too special. I just wanted to see if the attack will scale properly, and to not much surprise, it did. Very, very good stuff. Made several characters, like Crippers, and I think I had like 2 or 3 more that I kind of wanted to make summoner builds. but you know, summons really suck at the lower levels, and every time I try to make a summoner, for whatever reason, I ended up dying before going all the way. So I never actually had a summoner, but probably for the best, because I hear those things are really fucking boring. Crip Wands You is my first wand character. He used a similar kind of idea like the lightning arrow, where you get elemental damage, you get the elemental wand nodes, the elemental Templar nodes, and you use Power Siphon, which is the primary wand attack, along with lesser multiple projectiles, chain, and weapon elemental damage, as you would use lightning arrow. The character is really strong because you guys seen me play it over the weeks, over the months. This is the original one. Then soon after I made that one, I liked it so much that I used it for my race character. The race character got to 82, is my best character ever, and you know, since that I'm actually playing a Wander on the alpha as well. Not too sure what I'm doing for open beta, but more than likely I'll do a Wander again. So cool stuff. Love the build, love the defensive aspect of it, while having, you know, very, very good offense when you need it, and especially in a group situation. Let me see what I've missed, if I missed any characters here, but oh, we have Xena Warrior Princess. Crip is so pretty. This is the Lightning Strike character, where I pretty much decided that Lightning Strike is actually a pretty good ability, so I want to learn how to maximize it, and this character is an absolute beast when it comes to damage, though I think a lot of the aspects will get nerfed in the future. Lightning Strike remains as one of the only very, very strong melee abilities, and using a particular weapon, in my case a sword, stacking the physical damage bonuses, you know, you can get very, very far, and I pretty much proved that to be true with this character. I was very amused, and I'm sure a lot of you were as well. So, you know, we're going to say goodbye to these characters here shortly. I'm sure you guys have quite a collection of characters you guys are about to lose as well, but with open beta coming up in 2 days, more people are, you know, more excited rather than disappointed in that fact. So hopefully we'll have a lot of fun in open beta, and you know, we'll see what new characters we can come up with then. Until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow.